Welcome to the Million Pound Mission Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Shively, the PhD, the previously heavy dude, and I'm on a 1 million pound mission. I've personally lost over 100 pounds. I've helped my hometown lose over 35,000 pounds, and now I'm on a mission to produce over 1 million pounds of results by helping you gain clarity about what you need to do to reach your goals and give you the confidence to take action. And my friends, the perfect time to start taking action is now. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Million Pound Mission Podcast. It's your buddy Adam, the PhD, the previously heavy dude, and this is episode number 192, the importance of embracing accountability. Now, accountability is not the most sexy subject, and we're going to deep dive on it, like deeper than I've ever gone, because I believe this time of year, it's super important to think about this concept, because this is the time of the year where we're starting to, a lot of people tend to nosedive, right? It's right in the heart of the holiday season. We're past Thanksgiving, so maybe we lost a little bit of momentum there. Maybe we decided, hey, maybe I'm just going to start over again in January, or maybe you're kind of just floating there, you're on life support, and then the holiday parties start to happen, then Hanukkah, Christmas, end of the year, and we just kind of wait for the beginning of the year to restart things. So I feel like this is an important topic to come up right now, this time of the year, and I hope that you get a lot out of this, because I feel like with accountability, a lot of people hear that word and they think judgment, and they make it a negative. And with this episode, I want to turn that around to where you think support, and it's a positive. All right, so let's do a deep dive on the importance of embracing accountability. And before we deep dive into this, after the episode, big announcement about Million Pound Mission Boot Camp happening in January. So sit tight and get ready for that after the show. So the importance of embracing accountability. One of my favorite books to read is called The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. It's my most recommended book. You guys should check it out. Read it right now. Listen to the podcast and then read it. All right, download it and then read it. So there's a quote in there that says, what gets measured gets improved. What we measure and are held accountable to will improve exponentially. And they've got the stats to back it up. So they say that if we just write down our goals, so if we set a goal and just write it down, all right, there's a 39.5% chance that we are more likely to actually succeed with that goal. So we increase our probability of succeeding by 39.5% just by writing it down. So it turns from a thought to a written, it's written down where we can actually see it. Now, if we write down our goals and we're held accountable by someone else, the probability of success goes up to 76.7%. So it almost doubles just by telling someone else, just by adding in a little bit of that personal accountability. And that stat kind of blew me away, because I've seen some examples where people tell their people, but then they don't follow through anyway. But that just blew me away, that the chance of success almost doubles just by telling somebody else what our goal is. We write it down, then we tell somebody else. So we know, I'm very, very confident that things like measurement, planning, accountability, they all need to be a part of our transformation game plan, right? And there's another diagram in the book, The One Thing, where it talks about the accountable person, the person with the accountability mindset versus the person with more of a victim mindset. And the word victim is a little bit harsh, but you'll get the gist here. So they have a diagram, and they say the accountable person, they have basically a 6-step process. They say the accountable person, life happens. Then they seek reality, they acknowledge reality, they own it, they find a solution, and they get on with it. They start taking action to work towards that solution. The person with the victim mindset, life happens, they avoid reality, they fight reality, they blame, they project, they come up with personal excuses, and then they wait and they hope for things to change. So I want you to think about the things that you're struggling with. It can be, your transformation, your health, your fitness, maybe your diet, or maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's financial, maybe it's with your career. But are you taking more of an accountability mindset or more of a victim mindset? All right, let's let that set the tone for the rest of our conversation here. Now, I'm going to give you an example of one of my clients that was stuck in a little bit, I wouldn't say a victim mindset, but they were fearing accountability. They were seeing accountability more as judgment. And this is one of my local clients. This happens a lot with local clients because there's that weight gain guilt, or they feel guilty about not producing results, or if they're that person that's really seeing a lot of success and they kind of stall out, there's some guilt around that. And that's something that we work on with everybody. But they kind of want to hide out until things start moving in the right direction, and then they kind of pop back into the scene. So this person had achieved 60 pounds of fantastic transformation, and it kind of been stalled out there. And one of the things that we recommend with our local clients is a bi-weekly weigh-in. So once every 2 weeks, you pop in and we just see where you're at. It's not like Judgment Day, although I think this person and other people kind of tend to think of it that way, like, oh my God, it's epic. And they really get in their head about it. I think this person was a little bit like that, but they hadn't been in to weigh in a very long time. And it was very inconsistent. And they were kind of stuck in that 60-pound weight loss zone, and they wanted to lose another 20 pounds. And so I explained to them, they asked, like, what should I be doing? They wanted to switch workouts. They wanted to switch all these major things. I said, no, you need to be accountable. Like, you need to come in. And one of the things that worked, I'm a big fan of, let's keep doing the things, those fundamental things that always work. And when I see people start to lose momentum or kind of hit that plateau or even start to backslide, is when they stop doing those things. Like, oh, this is working so well, I'm going to stop doing this altogether. So the biweekly weigh-in is very effective, and it's an accountability anchor point. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But you get to come in and be accountable to somebody else. It's not a judgment. It's judgment-free zone. But there's coaching. You're telling someone else. It's that going from I've written this down, I'm weighing myself, to I'm allowing someone else to see my results. I'm being accountable to someone else. And I said, that's the only thing I want you to focus on. That's the only thing I want you to change. And we did that. And now they're at the 80-pound club. Like, that was the magic trick, where it wasn't just coming in and being accountable to us. It was the mindset shifts that led to, the action steps that led to, someone else is going to see this number now, and I'm going to get some coaching, and I'm going to give up control and allow them to coach me to help me get to my goal. And they did that, and then they hit their goal. Wow. Amazing how that works. So I've got a few key takeaways for you here today, but I'm kind of just setting the table. I'm kind of priming your mindset, trying to give you a few examples of why we need to be thinking along this lines, especially this time of year. So the first key takeaway is, I believe there are 3 steps to becoming self-accountable. Self-accountability is a huge mindset minefield that people get themselves into. I get emails pretty much monthly of somebody will start a program where anytime somebody does one of my programs, there's accountability involved 100% of the time, whether it's like the 2 main programs, Transformation Reboot, and then the Million Pound Mission Bootcamp. Like, you're going to be reporting in to somebody at some point in time. There's accountability built in. And I'll get an email that says, Adam, this is great and all, but really, I need to learn to be accountable to myself first. And that is dead ass wrong. Like, that is the exact opposite approach of how learning takes place. And it's an excuse that little voice in our head, it infects us like a virus, and it spreads, and it starts to make sense. Like, yeah, I need to be accountable to myself first, or this will never work. And the truth is, this will just never work. So the 3 steps to becoming, and I put this in air quotes, self-accountable, because I don't even really believe that that's a place that we should strive to get to. But you'll see what I mean. So step 1 is we have to give up control and accept that you need to be held accountable by someone else. We have to really accept that, like, okay, like if I wanted to learn how to be an accountant, I don't know how to be an accountant. I have no clue where to even start. So I need to say, all right, I need to be accountable to learning this from someone else. And a lot of people, honestly, you feel like, I've talked about this before, like you've tried enough diets, you've tried enough fitness programs, you've done all the programs, you feel like, well, I should be able to do this on my own by now. But it's different because you've never fully given up yourself to coaching. You've never fully given up to that accountability where you say, all right, whatever they say, I'm just going to do it because they're the expert and I want to learn from them. So step 1 is fully giving up control, accepting that you do need help and that you do need to be held accountable to be able to reach your goals. Step 2 is once you accept and acknowledge that you do need help, you do need accountability, is find someone that has achieved what you want to achieve and have them hold you accountable. All right. So, and this isn't like, I run 8-week boot camps. So Million Pound Mission Boot Camp, we're going to talk about it after the show. It's 8 weeks long, but it's going to most likely take longer than 8 weeks. And I'm not saying you have to pay someone for a certain amount of time or anything like that, but usually where I see the biggest difference is when somebody is consistently held accountable. They are stacking up accountability anchor points for at least 6 months in a row. Like they are not trying to be fully in charge of their own game plan for at least 6 months. All right, I know that's going to be a shocker to some of you, and some of you will turn it off and be like, screw this guy. He's wrong. He's dead ass wrong. But I've just been in the game long enough. I've been doing this since 2003, and I've seen thousands of people, go through this process. And those that commit to 8 weeks don't make it. This needs to be a longer term commitment. It doesn't have to be a financial commitment, but just a commitment to letting someone else hold you accountable and letting someone else help you navigate. All right. So that's step number 2. You have to be held accountable by someone that has achieved what you want to achieve. My recommendation, minimum 6 months, continuous. All right. Step 3. You have to take full ownership over your goals and transformation process, which AKA self-accountability. Like you're starting to drive the bus now. You are your own GPS. But key thing, you maintain accountability anchor points. All right. So that coaching that you had, those groups that you're in, those supportive friendships that you have, we have to keep a focus on those. My best transformation clients, like I have clients that I would say, no one's ever 100% guaranteed they will never gain their weight back, but I have some that are like 90% and above. I'm confident in a 90% accuracy that I can name these people and be like, that's a 90%er, that's a 90%er, that's a 90%er. There's only a 10% chance something really bad goes wrong and they gain all the weight back. And those people, those 90%ers, those are the people that are self-accountable. Like they keep showing up. I don't have to chase them down, right? They'll show up if in my reboot program. They're going to show up and be posting. They do our accountability sprint weeks. They are participating. I don't have to chase them down. There are people in my gym I know will show up. I know they'll be there, good, bad, or ugly. They just keep showing up. They keep plugged in. They do their biweekly weigh-ins. They do their accountability reports. And I just know that they will be there, but also they have those accountability anchor points. They do show up for the weigh-ins. They do still want to be held accountable by other people. So there's never really a time, like I don't think we need to strive for this magical self-accountability zone where no one ever knows your goals and no one ever supports you and things like that, because that's just not how the world works. So we need to just delete that from our mindset of I have to get to a point where I'm on top of accountability mountain and no one ever has to help me ever. That's just not life, right? Support is good. Friendship is good. Coaching is good. Learning from experienced people, good. So let's delete that from our memory bank. So that's kind of the first key takeaway is the 3 steps of becoming self-accountable, but also maintaining those accountability anchor points, which we'll talk about here. I know I've covered them in podcasts past, but we'll cover them briefly here today as well. Second key takeaway is that I feel like the most important form of accountability is having a game plan for your transformation. Like you've got a goal, cool, but you need a plan that you can be held accountable to. Right? I'm going to get into this in a second, but the goal, it's really like, if I set a goal that I'm going to make $1 million a year, like somebody can hold me accountable to that, but it really doesn't mean anything. Like, oh, I did it or I didn't do it. What I need to be held accountable to is the plan, the action. That's where it's really going to make a difference. Like I could hire somebody to coach me and be like, okay, at the end of the year, we're going to check in. And if you didn't hit your goal, then I'm holding you accountable. Well, what big difference that makes, all right? But if you're checking in weekly or daily and saying, what did you do to work towards that plan? That's the key, right? So with this, I always recommend my transformation battle plan workbook. I did just upgrade it. It's like 24 pages long now. 24 pages of free transformation battle plan goodness. If you guys want to pick that up, this is a great time of the year to do it. Get some momentum going before the holiday season hits. Just go to millionpoundmission.com, download it. It's at the top of the page, and it's version 4.0. I put it in a brand new daily, basically a productivity tracker that I've been using for 10 plus years. So check that out. But I feel like we need to have that game plan where we have our goals, we've got action steps that were our stepping stones towards that goal, and we need to know what we're doing with our fitness. We need to know what we're doing with our nutrition. We need to have our accountability built in there, cheat bank, things like that. So I pick up the workbook, use that. I feel like that's the most important form of accountability, is being accountable to our game plan. All right. So that's the second key takeaway. Third key takeaway is that we need to have a lower pressure and experimental mindset. Like I said at the beginning, people see accountability as judgment, and it's pass fail, and you don't want to end up on the fail side of that equation. And we just need to let go of our fear of failure. All right. We need to get more experimental. This is something I'm always talking to my clients about. Like, you have to chill out. This isn't pass fail. We are working towards getting healthy. And just because you take a cheat meal when you didn't expect to doesn't mean that you fail at health. All right. And we need to take a more relaxed, experimental mindset. That's why I like my workbook system so much, that every 28 days, it's a new 28-day experiment. That's why I like the Reboot program, because it's a 28-day experiment. We learn, we take the things that work, we learn from things that didn't work, and we move forward. So again, what we want to be able to be accountable to is the effort towards our game plan, the effort that we're putting in towards our goals. We are not being held accountable to be perfect. We are not being held accountable to achieve all of our goals. Like I said, that doesn't even make any sense, but that's what we fear with accountability is, if I tell someone my goal, or I hire a coach and I tell them my goal and I don't make the goal, then that's failure. So if you set a goal to make $1 million a year, and right now you're making $100,000 a year, and you make $750,000 a year, then that's called a win. That's called you 7.5 times your income. Or if you set a goal to lose 100 pounds and you only, air quotes, lose 75, that's called a hell of a good year, right? So you have to feel there's no judgment with accountability, with coaching, with this type of goal setting. Like, if you put your goal out, the goal is just, it's a guess. To put it plain and simple, like, no one can accurately predict, like, this is exactly where you should be. And people want me to tell them that all the time. They send me DMs on Instagram, and they're like, Adam, I'm doing this and that and that. I'm doing keto, and my friend did 50 pounds in 6 months. I've only lost 2 pounds in 6 months. What am I doing wrong? Where should I be able to hit? What kind of numbers should I be able to hit? And it's like, it's guessing. Every body is so individual. It's impossible to say, well, this individual should lose 100 pounds in a year if they do blah, blah, blah. But what we can do is set a goal out there and drive towards it, and then measure from where we started. That's the measurement. It's not where we are compared to where our goal is. The measurement is we turn around and say, look how far I've come. So that's the accountability. The accountability is to put in the work, right? So that's really the third key takeaway is have a lower pressure and an experimental mindset, and be accountable to put in the work, not feeling stressed out about hitting the goal or not. Who cares? If you put in the work, something positive is going to happen. You're going to be drugged in the right direction, right? So sometimes kicking and screaming, but you're going to be drugged out in the right direction. You're going to be heading in the right direction if you're accountable to action. That's the most important form of accountability right there, is accountability towards action. Now, the fourth key takeaway is we do need to establish accountability anchor points. I talked about this with the earlier point about the 3 steps of becoming self-accountable, is that these people that are self-accountable, these people that are definitely people, those 90% success rate, like I almost guarantee they will never gain their weight back. They are driving the bus, but they do have the accountability anchor points in place because they know that's what works, right? They're smart people. And so with accountability anchor points, again, quickly, I've covered this in the past, but it's like climbing a mountain. And when you climb a mountain, you want to anchor in so that, if you're free climbing and you slip, guess what? Dead, right? All the way to the bottom. And that happens to a lot of us with the transformation because we don't have any support. We don't have any accountability. We don't have any coaching. We don't have anybody surrounding us that can catch us if we fall. So we want to have established accountability anchor points in multiple areas of our life. And I feel like that's an important goal to set, is say, okay, where do I spend the most time in my life? Usually home, work, gym family, as I call it, at our facility. We have friends, we have social groups, church groups, people that we hang out with, extended family. Just think about the time, throughout the week, where do you spend the most time? And you think, I need a healthy accountability, a support point in each one of those areas, if we can establish it. Sometimes at work, like you'll be able to find some sort of like lunch basketball league or something that's already there. You might have to be the person that forms it. All right. You may have to be the person that says every Wednesday, it's Walking Wednesday. We're going to go for a walk and eat our salads and talk about healthy things, or listen to the Million Pound Mission podcast. That's what I recommend that you do. Million Pound Mission podcast Monday. You go walk and no one talks to each other. You just listen to the podcast and then tell your friends about it. That's my number one recommendation. Hopefully that's your top takeaway. But anyway, so we want to establish those accountability anchor points in all those big areas of our life. And the more, and we don't have to do it all at once. Don't put that kind of pressure on yourself, but just keep your eyes open and look like, okay, I'm at work a lot. And a lot of people, that's a major danger zone. They go to work, the candy dish is there, the holiday parties are there, the break room is there, people are bringing in food, and there's sometimes peer pressure of, oh, Sheila made her queso dip and everybody needs to try some. So we need to find or create a healthy, supportive accountability anchor point in that area of our life. And I've seen break rooms completely transform, when you get enough people going. Or maybe it's a friend group where you always tend to crash and burn on the weekends because they all want to go out and eat. Maybe you need to just tweak the relationship a little bit. Find a person, or maybe you say, hey guys, this time of year I'm trying to maintain my health and fitness. Instead of going out for drinks after work on Friday, how about we all go hit up a workout at my gym, or we all go for a run or go for a bike ride or something like that, like something that's fun that you can still do together as a group that's healthy. All right. And again, it may be up to you to be the person that kind of spearheads that. Now, with accountability groups, this is an important point, because this can potentially be a slippery slope, danger zone, because I've seen local clients do this. I've seen some of my online clients do it as well, where they're like, okay, I did a thing where I got coaching and I've got an accountability, and they understand that accountability is important, and they aren't doing this on purpose. It's just they think they're doing the right thing. And they're like, we're going to form a Facebook group of a bunch of my friends and people that are trying to get healthy, and we're going to support each other. And usually this ends up being like the struggle bus situation, where people end up hating it because everybody's just kind of like complaining and talking about how they cheat. And the key is you got to have, a certain percentage of that group needs to be rocking it. Like they need to be crushing it, and they can lead the charge. Because if you have a whole bunch of people that are struggling all together, then it can just become kind of a pity party, and it's a real downer. So if you are, Facebook groups are fun, but if you're in there and there's no leader, there's no person or people that are really doing well, really leading the charge, leading by example, kind of pulling the group up into a higher level of commitment and action, then you need to fix that or exit the group. All right, so that's super important. So if you are, Facebook groups, again, highly recommend you could form like a healthy workplace Facebook group. You could toss that out there, even to your like HR person, or even like with your church, with your friend group, all those great ideas. But you have to have somebody or a certain percentage of people in there. I don't know what that percentage is. It's going to have to be, whatever works for you. You have to experiment with that. If things start to sink, get another person that's really rocking it, invite them in and say, hey, we need somebody to kind of pull up our average a little bit. And that will work much, much more effectively. So the key thing that I really want to get across again is that we have to flip the switch with our mindset. I don't want you to beat yourself up about accountability. I don't want you to fear accountability because it's a pass-fail situation. All right. We need to disabuse ourselves of that fear of failure. We need to accept that the fastest way to learn something is to find somebody that has done something, achieved something that we want to achieve. And even better, if they themselves have achieved something and they've taught thousands of other people how to achieve something, then that's a really good person to be held accountable by, right? So that high quality accountability is super important. I want you guys to go and just search it out. Look for those accountability anchor points. And remember, we want to be held accountable to action. We're We're not putting pressure on ourselves to be accountable to being perfect, to being accountable to hitting every single goal. The goal is like, if that actually happens, then that's amazing. That means we guessed correctly, or we made it too easy on ourselves. So if your goal is to lose 10 pounds, you do that in 2 weeks, and you're supposed to do it in a year, you short-sighted yourself a little bit. So the key is to put in the work and be accountable and support it and feel supported with that work, and just taking things one step at a time, moving forward, because that, my friends, is how we get out there and own it. Every meal, every workout, every day. I'll see you on the next episode. So what do you think? Are you guys ready to be held accountable? Well, if you are, if you're looking for that accountability anchor point, if you're looking for that coach, I want to throw my hat into the ring for sure. We've got our January Million Pound Mission Bootcamp coming up. Registration is open. Early bird pricing is available just for a few days here. If you guys want to take advantage of that, go to millionpoundmission.com, click on the Million Pound Mission Bootcamp link, and dive in there. This is one of my favorite programs. We do these twice a year. January is one of those times, and we're going to hit it hard for 8 weeks. All right. There are some key points to this that I want to quickly go over. The first thing is I'm going to assign to you one of my accountability coaches. This is somebody that's been through the program, has achieved great results. They're going to check in with you every single day. All right. Actually, you're going to check in with them every single day. And if you don't check in with them, they check in with you. And it's in a supportive coaching way, just like we talked about in this episode. But they are there for you. There's somebody that has walked the path that you want to go down. People like my coach, Lisa, has lost 150 pounds. Who wouldn't want to be coached by her, right? And it is an awesome program. We've got an 8-week course that I built into it that I call Push 56. We have a weekly assignment that we go over. There'll be some group calls. You just select from my 4 most effective meal plans. We've got follow-along workouts that you can do at home or in the gym. It's awesome. So go to millionpoundmission.com, click on the Million Pound Mission Bootcamp info, and get plugged in, my friends. Early bird pricing is available, and I'm excited to work with you.